Hi, welcome to the Tech Talks podcast. I'm joined today by Andrew Fisher from Zuto. How you doing, Andrew? You okay?
I'm well, thanks, Jack. Thanks for having me.
No, thanks for coming on board. So, look, first to kick us off, I guess, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you're at this point now at Zuto?
Absolutely, yeah. So I head up the recruitment at Zuto. I've been doing recruitment now for, I'm going to sound really old now, about 6.5, 7 years.
Nice.
So I started off, I was quite late to recruitment. I joined it when I was 30. I joined a sales agency called P3.
Right.
And they were very small. They was just starting out.
Is that P3 people?
P3 Search and Selection.
P3 Search and Selection.
Yeah, so they were a small entity, quite weird going from Marks and Spencer's, huge global brand, to a company that had 3 people. But it was brilliant for me. It was the minute I joined recruitment, I knew it was where I should be. I loved straight away speaking to people, building relationships, and I suppose helping them on their journey in their career. So yeah, in that time, about 5 years at P3, I evolved. My role progressed there. I sort of managed a number of key accounts at times, but then also looked after sort of new recruiters, if you will, that came into the business and really gave them the understanding of like how to resource properly and embed the right recruitment practices. And then I felt that within my sort of what I enjoyed about recruitment, I started finding it was the team parts of it. So if someone in my team did well or someone in the business did well, and I started to shy away from the things that are a little bit more aligned to individualism. So I wanted to move away, stay in recruitment, but something where I can be part of something bigger. And then the opportunity at Zuto presented itself, which was to head up their recruitment. You know, they're going through which I'll talk about in a few minutes, some fantastic growth, but the opportunity to actually, they didn't have a recruitment function at all. Right. So to go in, start their recruitment, build something that's going to, continue to grow and last for a long time was really exciting. And so that's where I am now. And I'm on a podcast talking about it, which, it's quite a journey.
Yeah, amazing. You must have had, going from the job you were in, and as I know, the recruitment market's crazy, especially for internal recruitment. Why did you join Zuto out of any other company? What was going on?
So to be honest, I hadn't heard of Zuto, which I should or shouldn't say before the agency called me. But from the minute I spoke to and got an understanding of Zuto and started to look into who they were all about celebrating like what they're trying to do, but they've got such a growth mentality. And straight away, even in like the initial conversation that I had, it was all about like not being afraid to try something different and never being afraid to fail. And they were really honest with me. And I suppose that the time I wanted to join a business where I felt I could really make a difference. Sure. And I think they were just crying out for someone to really care within the recruitment team, to be part of the people team and bring the right people in, and to be able to set something up from scratch I did it at Marks and Spencer. I opened stores, and be able to put your own stamp on something and watch it grow was the thing that really did, excite me and still excites me today.
Amazing. And again, I guess for anyone listening to this who perhaps like you haven't heard of Zuto, which I was surprised. What could you kind of run us through what Zuto do and what
Yeah. So in a nutshell, Zuto we're a broker. Cool. So we every day talk to our customers and are dealing with lenders and car dealerships, and subsequently we sit in the middle. So we work exclusively with Auto Trader, which is something we're very proud of. So as soon as a customer goes on the Auto Trader website and sees a car that they want to buy, their application comes through to someone at Zuto. At that point, we then take them through that car buying journey. So there's a lot of fact finding at the front end, understanding the customer's needs, their budget, their requirements, and then what we do then is obviously speak to the dealer, explain to them the customer we've got someone who's interested in this car, but while also speaking to one of our lenders and making sure that we're getting the right finance deal and the best finance deal for our customers.
Wow, exclusive with Auto Trader. That's mega.
Yeah, it's amazing. That relationship's been around as well since about 2012. So yeah, like 9 years. It's a relationship's going from strength to strength. And obviously everyone knows who Auto Trader are, and to be partnered with them it's a catalyst for our growth. Yeah. But also it's something that we're really proud of, and it's a relationship that works really, really well. We work really closely together. Our CEO Jim is very active with sort of the leadership team over at Auto Trader, and it's a relationship that just continues to blossom, which is obviously another plus point for Zuto.
That's pretty unique that a broker would be partnered with such a big company like that, right? Exclusively anyway.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. It's something that, we do also have relationships with the likes of ClearScore, Gumtree and Piston Heads, but the real sort of where our volume comes from and our relationships and the apps come from is Auto Trader. And I guess it's they see how we operate. Our purpose is to like transform the car market or the car buying journey with simplicity and integrity. So obviously having a brand like Auto Trader like affiliated with those guys, every decision we make is driven by doing the right thing for our customers, because they know that they're from Auto Trader. It's such a big brand.
Yeah,
we're a big brand. The expectation is different to probably our competitors, I guess.
You're hiring like crazy at the minute, like you mentioned at the beginning, which is fantastic. I guess what's fueling that growth? People are clearly buying cars.
Yeah, they are. So the pandemic's interesting. It challenged an awful lot of businesses.
From an external point of view, you'd think pandemic, people probably aren't spending money on buying cars.
Yeah, you would do. You'd naturally think like that. But then like the used car market, because like take yourself back to last year where a lot of people weren't able to go on the luxury holidays that maybe people have budgeted for. Some people took a mortgage break and things like that, and you just weren't able to spend as much money as you wanted to. Sure. But then obviously the news from, that we were all told is don't go into, stay away from crowds, mask on public transport, which is still to this day. And the sort of people's understanding now, perception is that, we've got a lot of sort of families of cars of one wanting to have another car so the mother can take the children to school in that sort of risk-free environment, if you will. And obviously a lot more people are using, families becoming like a lot more important. People going away for the weekend is now a lot more accessible, and a lot more, I suppose, more people are doing it than ever. And people who maybe didn't have a car or had a car that got them from A to B, but didn't really allow them to travel further than that they could rely on, people are also now sort of getting that next level car that's becoming a lot more critical to them for their everyday.
Wow, I hadn't even thought about that. So, okay. So the pandemic had given a bit of a boost to the used car market.
Absolutely, yeah.
Wow.
And we saw that because in March of this year, which is again like one of our success stories and testaments to everyone at Zuto, is in March of this year.
Yeah,
we actually hit a milestone of the most customers we'd ever put in a single month.
Oh my God, well done.
In a pandemic where the dealerships were shut.
Yeah.
So customers couldn't even really go and sort of test drive a car. And it just shows that the pandemic is, as I say, it's changed every business the way we were operating. But to be able to hit milestones like that, as you talk about the growth, where that's come from, it's the catalyst that even a big thing like the pandemic, huge way of changing everyone's way of thinking. Zuto as a power of all joining together have proved that, as long as you're all pulling in the right direction, you'll still achieve whatever you want to.
Yeah, I love that. And there's been so many stories of doom and gloom of, obviously a lot of companies haven't done so well in the pandemic. Some shut down, had to make cuts, whatever. So hearing about a success story coming out of the pandemic is brilliant. And it's positive, which is great. So yeah, obviously growing like crazy. A lot of that is within sales. So for a salesperson coming on board to join Zuto, I guess what's the opportunity for them? How do you see them progressing?
So yeah, I put myself into the shoes of a sales professional in Manchester. Cool. I suppose we're going through fantastic recruitment. We've got the graduate recruitment, which is so exciting. But then also as like a more established sales partner, we also have a very strong onboarding, which I think again separates us from other businesses. We have an L&D team, like a leadership and development team of 4. That's got a couple of external people who've come into Zuto with that, and they've also promoted from within. So the people that will be supporting you in your first 3 weeks within Zuto are people who've actually done the role. So they know your challenges, they know what's, the things that are going to help you, I suppose, to grow as a sales professional. Yeah. And then the onboarding, we've got a 21st century approach to training and onboarding. So we have the first couple of weeks, which is classroom-based training, which is all driven by, knowledge, giving you that support. But then you go into like we call it the academy bay, if you will. Mm-hmm. But it's from day sort of 15 in your journey in Zuto. You're on the phone talking to customers, apps from Auto Trader or apps from ClearScore. And because we're confident in the tools we've given you the first couple of weeks, we want you to start talking to customers straight away. But it's a really safe environment. It's got 3 managers that operate in there as well. So the support's absolutely there. And then it's very much, I know people still to this day think they're not being trained unless they're taken into a classroom with a laptop and a flip chart and a pen. We're very much across the desk. Everyone's got their own laptop. We can take everyone's got on headsets, every contact center in the cloud, all the support's online for them. So some of the things can just be across the desk. And it's amazing how much people can learn from just if you give them something there and then, giving them that support and encouragement with just try it this way. And that encouraging from day one that don't be afraid to fail, try something a bit different, push yourself out there. As long as you're learning, you're going to be successful at Zuto. Yeah. But then also the development we've got, I think 65-70% of our management team within sales is homegrown, which is something we're very proud of. We run an assistant sales manager program, which came into the business sort of last summer. We've promoted 8 people from sales executives into assistant sales managers. So 25% of their role is learning management, 75% is still doing the sales side of it. But every team has an assistant sales manager and a sales manager. So it really gives them that impetus from day one. What do I need to do to become an assistant sales manager? Or you can also progress within sales and go from a sales executive to a senior sales executive as well within 6 to 12 months. So there's so much going on as well, the growth. But I suppose if you're thinking selfishly for yourself, it's the development, the onboarding, the support, and the opportunities to grow, which for me, if I was thinking like, why Zuto, they would really tick the boxes for me.
Well, I've been in sales for a long time as well, and I guess you could class recruitment and sales. I don't really, but yeah, I think 2 things that people do get frustrated with in sales is lack of L&D, like lack of learning and support, and especially when it's like L&D, like they tell you something and then there's no follow up and there's no like implementation of it or anything like that. But also like a lack of clear career progression is so frustrating within sales, really is. And it sounds like you've got kind of from day dot, it's like, okay, this is what you need to do to get to that next bit. Yeah,
absolutely. And what's been great for us as well, so we've got the Macclesfield office, which is where the business was founded, and still very much operational. But then we've started to now grow Manchester, and when we really started recruiting there last summer, we had all these plans still in place to put people through, to become assistant sales managers, and wanted to encourage it, but no one had seen it because we didn't have the people who'd been in the business that long, or the opportunities to really accelerate your earning potential because of the quality of the applications that come through and because of the way that we operate. But now what we're seeing as well is that because it's all well and good, I can tell them in the recruitment process about the development, how many people we've progressed, or in the interview. But what's great now is that there's people coming in at the business or have been in the business 4, 6, 8, 12 months that are seeing, if I do what's asked and I take on board the support I'm given, but I drive it myself, I can be just like my friend who started on day one, who's now an assistant sales manager, or who is on their way to becoming a senior sales executive.
I mean, you touched on it then in terms of the interview process. How many people have you hired?
So since last June, we've recruited within sales and processing and graduate sales. It's about 147.
147?
Yeah.
Jesus.
And then we've got non-customer facing, so like your IT, marketing, the recruitment team.
Yeah.
And I think that's about 40, 42. So.
Bloody hell. When do you sleep?
Yeah. Well, I've not asked been a question I've asked since I was 30 when I joined recruitment, to be fair.
Yeah, so. Fair enough. Fair enough. So you've been doing recruitment for 6.5, 7 years now. Yeah. You've seen good processes, interview processes, seen bad interview processes. What's the interview process you've adopted at Zuto and why?
Like you say, there's good out there, there's bad out there, and there's indifferent. So again, from the sales side of it, if you're like established sales partner, we will invite everyone in to do face-to-face. We've tried to do that as much as we can. We felt Teams was unfair because it didn't give the candidate the best experience to sell themselves, and it's hard over a screen to get your personality. But also another one of what I would say our pull factors is the culture, the environment, the office space itself, the location. So where we can, 90% of the time we'll look at doing a face-to-face interview, but we've gone away from the, really the deep dive questions, the obvious things. You hear some horror stories of, if you're a kitchen utensil, what would you be and why? Like, well, how do you do that? Or like shining spotlights on people to really challenge them to the point that they like snap, and then that sort of. So what we're really laid back with our approach. Yes, we've got key questions that we know that if you answer or you have the right experience or can articulate, that you're going to be successful in Zuto, because it is a tough role the sales guys do. They're looking at a pipeline of 80, 90 in a day, outbound calls and things. So, but it's more about getting to know the person. I know it's cliche, but we do recruit on culture, because we've got a great L&D team, we've got great managers, we've got great leadership team. All the support's there. If you've got the right behaviours and the right experiences that you can pull on, or like a real drive and hunger to succeed, and it's getting to know the person. We had someone last week that could tell that they got their answers from YouTube. It was money motivated. Why?
Driven.
Driven. And it wasn't until we really got into them that actually they'd come from a really humble background where their parents had split up, and sometimes some of their clothes had come from charity shops, which is fine.
Yeah.
But she'd made a conscious effort that I want to get into sales because I don't want that for me, and I know that if I come into a business where I want to get into sales, but I don't think unless we'd have really got to know her as a person, that would have come out in the wash. And then it's that element of risk as well. Every hire there's a risk taken, but it's the calculated ones of, can you see this person on a wet Wednesday when the rain's coming sideways in November? They're going to be in the trenches with you. They're going to be every day with the right attitudes. And if you've got those, then there's no reason why they won't be a success at Zuto or in sales.
That's brilliant. And on the back of that, I mean, again, you've hired, what was the number again, 140?
In sales, yeah. 140.
140. Any kind of success stories like that you've seen people go from day dot to where they are now?
Yeah, there is. So there's in the first, so obviously I joined in March, and then 3 weeks later the world shut down for a bit. So timed that really well. And then when I came back in August, it was literally as if like we just slept for one night. Nothing changed. Our growth hadn't changed because we're a privately equity backed business. Sure. So the investment, the growth was still there. The mindset was still there. And the first induction I did, there was 12 on there. That's I can blow me on trumpet. I'm really not. But within that 12, 3 of those have now progressed from sales executives to ASMs in the new year. Sure. And then in that time, 2 of them have been given their own team now. So they're now established sales managers. And one of them is doing a secondment in recruitment to support us with our growth, but also still very much got his foot in the door wanting to be an established sales manager within Zuto. So there's 3 that I can name. We recruit at something called processing as well, which is like our entry level sales, and they support the sales professionals. It's a great way to get into sales if you've not really got the experience of being in sales, but you've got the right mannerisms, and we can train them, give you the right sort of those ways of working and instilling that pace and thoroughness, which is what you need in Zuto. We've had, about 6-7 people progress from processing into that. And then we've got a raft of graduate sales guys that have, on day 1, day 2, you can see that they're really just not comfortable because they didn't really understand, to now earning, to earning money that's fantastic for them, really changing their life and their confidence as well. And we've got a couple of those guys that have become like mentors on the graduate academy. So they'll spend like half a day just sitting with the new grads saying, I know the troubles you're going through. I've been through them. Stick with it. Yeah. Try this, do that, listen to this. And that only came about that from a graduate actually saying, do you have like a mentor, a buddy system? And we're like, yeah, we do, but it's done with someone where they're not very, you can't really relate to them. If it can be someone from the graduate that can talk through their journey, it's brilliant. So that's another success story, bringing like a buddy system from the graduates, which was a graduate-led idea.
Sure. Which is great. Like I said, it's a private equity-backed company.
Yeah.
It's still, I say it's still young. It's not really. It's been going for a while, but it's a company that these things can happen. It's flexible. It's not loads of red tape. Someone comes up with an idea. It's not having to go through loads of different line managers to get past. Like I said, a graduate just mentioned it one day, and you're like, yeah, that sounds great. Let's do it.
Absolutely, and that comes from that mindset. Again, is one of the things that attracted me. It comes from the leadership team. Jim, our CEO, who was the founder in 2006. He's in the office 3 days a week, and he's always, to this day, like, what you trying, what you doing. I told you before, Jack, before we went on here, that I was telling Amy, the COO, that I was doing this, and she loved it. It's something completely different that we've ever done. And yeah, because we're not a business driven by hierarchy, no idea doesn't get listened to. And, I could tell you stories of where like sales have kind of wished that something from a tech side was taken away or was changed. And then, yeah, before you know it, when the tech squad sat there with, devices look like they're about to put a spaceship in NASA, but they're understanding the challenges. Yeah. And then, if you can save 30 seconds a call for one person, imagine what you can, do that, roll it out across the whole business. How much more talk time does that give our customers, and also the pride that gives that Zuto tonight that they've played a part in sort of changing the way we do something. It doesn't have to be a big grand gesture. It can just be something as simple as, removing a tab or something like that, which again is driven by just wanting to never be afraid to try something different.
Love that. Brilliant. And Zuto nights.
Yes.
Yeah,
have to get that in.
Yeah, definitely. It's what a soundbite. And then I guess you've had loads of people, you've been in sales yourself, you've obviously been in recruitment, you've seen people coming through. What kind of tips and bits of advice would you give to someone looking to start a career at Zuto? If they're hovering over the advert button, ready to click apply, what would you recommend?
I suppose with me, I'd look at the advert and I'd think to myself, like, look at it, what's in it for me? And this isn't just for Zuto. I guess it's for anyone who's looking for a role. And as we all know, at the minute there's more jobs out there than there's ever been, and there's less people than there's ever been on the job market. I think for me, it would be what's in it for me, being quite selfish in that respect, because that is the only way you're going to really make the right decision. Looking at the job advert, and then going a bit further, looking at the LinkedIn, looking at testimonials, but then always thinking back to, and it's something that I've always used in recruitment, think of a reason to apply. Don't look for a reason not to. And that's kind of how we are at Zuto. We'll look for a reason to interview them, not for a reason not to. And the sales managers will say the same when they're interviewing. I'm looking for a reason to employ them, not for a reason not to. And I think some businesses, or sometimes people, have been too quick to go down the latter. I'm looking for a reason, and hung up on the negative. So for me, it's like always looking at why would I apply? That stands out to me. Brilliant. And then taking that mindset through for everything, like what's in it for me, but doing the research at the back end of it as well, because recruitment, if the recruitment process isn't great, and this is something I challenge the team with, for me, it's when the business should be at their best. Now, I'm biased. You come into Zuto at any point and you'll be greeted by great, like-minded people, and you'll get a really good experience. But I feel that if the recruitment process is as good as it can be, then that for me should be a real fact. If you get the energy from the recruiter you've spoken to, they're being consistent with you, they're giving the information, they're sending out further information for you to really understand, then they're buying into you. If you feel that you should buy into it, then why not?
To finish off, I guess, what can we expect to see from Zuto in the next kind of 6 to 12 months?
Yeah, absolutely there is. I'm going to be careful what I say. I don't want to give too much away. But in terms of, I suppose, for us as a business and to watch out for, we've had some really good articles put together about us, about our growth, and that we are one of the fastest growing companies in the Northwest. So I'd certainly keep our eye on that, on our growth, and as a business, really, and what we're doing within the universities as well. Our graduate program, working with the best talent in the Northwest from a graduate point of view, is something that we've got a real sense of pride with. Also from a non sort of sales or business, but something we're extremely proud of is that we've just partnered with Forever Manchester as well, which is our charity. Cool. That we're going to work. So we're going to do some really exciting things with those guys in the Northwest, in terms of supporting schools where getting laptops to people that maybe haven't got it as accessible as everyone else. But then also just the way we are in the market, in the used car market, just the ways that we're operating, the relationships that we're building behind the scenes with some aggregators and some real lenders is for me is extremely exciting. We have a goal that we're working towards. I'm not going to tell you what that goal is, but I'll tell you what the celebration is, just so you can see it on LinkedIn. When we achieve the goal that we've set, and every person in Zuto is driven towards it. Whatever your roles in the business, we are working towards this set goal. But the plan is that when we achieve it, we've already looked at logistics. We are hiring planes, and we're going to Disneyland for 2 nights. Everyone in Zuto who's played their part in hitting that goal. So if you're going to look out for one thing, look out for a plane in the sky that doesn't say British Airways. It's now got the Zuto logo on. That'll be something to look out for, I guess, as well.
That's very cool. Awesome. Well, look, thanks for coming down, mate, and it's been great. And yeah, keep an eye out on Zuto.
Fantastic. Thanks for having me. It's been great.